Good morning. Welcome to Daily Focus. I thank you for joining me this morning, and I hope you're off to a great day. It was a little foggy this morning and a little muggy, and a lot of humidity in the air. But we're thankful for another beautiful day to serve the Lord and to see what He has in store for us. We're in First Corinthians chapter 1. I've entitled this one, We Preach Christ. And so, Paul dealing with the issue of division over personalities. Some were saying, I'm of Paul. Others were saying, I'm of Apollos. Some were saying, I'm of Peter or Cephas. Others were saying, and I'm of Christ. And Paul is saying, listen, is Christ divided? And so in verse number 12, now this I say, that every one of you saith, I am of Paul, and I am of Apollos, and I am of Cephas, and I of Christ. Is Christ divided? And then he asked some questions. Was Paul crucified for you? Did Paul baptize in his own name? Was this all about Paul? Was this about Apollos? Was this about Peter? Is Christ really divided? I mean, back to what I said yesterday, there ought to be a unity about God's design. There ought to be a unity in what God has clearly said. And some of the nuances in how things are done and what is the best path or the most effective way can be debated and worked through. But we ought to be united on what God has said. And the same thing Paul is saying, we should be united around Christ. This isn't about Paul. This isn't about Peter. This isn't about Apollos. And it's not about you and it's not about me. Life is about Christ. And Paul said, I didn't come to baptize in my own name. And in fact, Christ didn't even send me to baptize. Christ sent me in verse number 17 to preach the gospel, not with words, wisdom of words, lest the cross of Christ should be made of none effect. In other words, this isn't about me, Paul said. You might like the way I preach. You might like my personality. You might be drawn to my leadership style. You may be thankful for something that God used me to accomplish in your life, whether it was to lead you to Christ or to teach you principles that would lead to victory over sin or maturity in your Christian walk and an understanding of God's program. God may have used me in your life, Paul says. I might have even baptized you like I did Gaius and Crispus. But he said that's not the issue. That will never be the issue. I'm thankful that God uses people. But our unity and our life does not become around any person. Our here on earth, our unity and our oneness comes about the fact that we are here to exalt Christ. We're here to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're here to teach that there is one way to heaven, and that is through Christ. There is one way to live in the Christian life, and that is to be conformed to the image of Christ. We operate in the power of Christ. We live for bringing glory to Christ. We preach Christ crucified, and that's the power of the gospel. And so when we look at the nonsense that was going on in the church of Corinth, Paul said, you know why? Because too many of you are on an ego trip. Too many of you are fighting a battle because of what you want. You're fighting a battle because of what you think. You're creating a battle because of how you feel. You're creating division because of what you prefer or an agenda that you would like to see done. And Paul said, that's foolishness. That's carnality. Center your life around Jesus Christ and seek to exalt him. Seek to let people see Christ in you, the hope of glory. Make sure that your attitude and your actions and the atmosphere you create helps people come to a right conclusion about Christ. Don't make life about you. Don't create a following of a personality. Let's unite ourselves around Christ. And that is the lesson for this morning's devotional. We preach Christ. I hope you'll do it today. And I hope that God will give you fruit for your labor. May God bless you. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.